I'm an MD homeopath. I had done my MD in psychiatry. So I'm your new professor for medicines lectures. So today we are going to learn about the respiratory system. So if anyone have any doubts, you can type in the chat or ask me after the lecture. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So today we are going to learn about what is respiratory system, the part of the respiratory system, normal function of the respiratory system, types of respiratory systems, diseases, and diagnostic procedure and the upper respiratory tract infection. So तुम लोगों को already I guess anatomy physiology हुआ होगा second year third year में, right? So I'm just brush it out कि फिर से revise लगा रही हूँ तुम लोगों को. So the respiratory system is the organ and the other part of the body involved in breathing when you are exchanging the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. So your respiratory system includes the nose and the nasal cavity, mouth, pharynx, trachea, lung, bronchial tube, capillary, sinuses, throat, larynx, which also called as the voice box, diaphragm, air sac, and the bronchioles. So upper respiratory tract include क्या क्या upper respiratory tract में आता है? So it includes the nasal cavity, soft palate, hard palate, nostrils, oral cavity, tongue, trachea, vocal cord, larynx, pharynx, paranasal sinuses. As you all know, the upper respiratory tract diseases अलग रहते हैं and lower respiratory tract diseases अलग रहते हैं. And in lower respiratory tract, when we call it, it includes the larynx, trachea, right primary bronchi, right lung, ribs, intercostal muscles, which is the diaphragm, trachea cartilage, left primary bronchi, left lung, bronchioles, alveolar sac, and alveoli. So what is the normal function of respiratory tract? Can anyone tell me? किसी को पता है what is the normal function of respiratory tract? This is an interactive session, so please contribute. Hello. I hope you all are there. Ankita, Mrunal, Priyanka, Gauri, Varda. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So please contribute. So did you know anything about what is the normal function of respiratory tract? Hello. Okay, we will go ahead. So normal function of respiratory tract is the breathing. Okay. So when you start breathing, you inhale the air into your nose and the mouth. It travels down the back of your throat and into the trachea, which divided into air passage called the bronchial tube. These are the bronchial tubes. Okay. So as the bronchial tube passes through your lung, they divided into the smaller air passage called the bronchioles. Bronchioles are the tiny particles. Can you see in the image? So the bronchioles end in the tiny balloon-like air saccage called the alveoli. Alveoli are this. And the bronchioles end in tiny balloon saccage called as the alveoli, and your body has about 600 million alveoli. So these are the larynx, these are the trachea. Please see in the image. These are the primary bronchioles. These are the secondary bronchioles. Primary bronchioles converted into the secondary bronchioles, and then secondary bronchioles into the tertiary bronchioles, and then it converted into the bronchioles. And bronchioles is converted into the alveoli. And alveoli, there are multiple capillaries are there. Okay. When the alveoli are surrounded by the mesh of the tiny blood vessels, which we call capillaries. So in the capillaries, when we hear the oxygen from inhaled air passes through your blood. So after absorbing the oxygen, blood goes to your heart, and your heart then pumps it through the body to the cell of your tissue and the organ. So as the cell use the oxygen, they make the carbon dioxide that goes into your blood. So your blood then carries the carbon dioxide back to your lung, where it removed from the body and then you exhale. So there is a process of inhalation and the exhalation. So I guess you all know how the inhalation and the exhalations are occur. So inhalation and exhalation are how your body brings in the oxygen and get rid of the carbon dioxide. Oxygen is necessary for the body and carbon dioxide is not necessary for the body. So in exhalation and inhalation, they get rid of the carbon dioxide. The process gets help from the large dome-shaped muscle, which we called as the diaphragm. Diaphragm is the large dome-shaped muscle. So when you breathe in, your diaphragm pulls down, creating a vacuum that called the rush of air into your lung. The opposite happens when you exhalate. So your diaphragm relaxes upward, pushing on the lung, allowing them to deflate. You can see in the image. So how's the inhalation? When inhalation occurs, the diaphragm is relaxed, and when the exhalation occurs, the diaphragm is contracted. Okay? Contraction means it moves downward, and relax means it moves upward. So how does the respiratory system clean the air? So seeing the image, you can able to understand. So your respiratory system has built up in a method to keep the harmful things in the air from entering your lungs. So what hair in your nose helps to filter out the large particle. It is tiny hair which we called as the cilia. These are the defense mechanism of our system. So the hair filter out the large particle along with the air passages moves in sweeping motion to keep the passage clean. But if you breathe in a harmful thing like cigarette smoke, the cilia can stop working. So if any infection like the tiny particles goes into your nose, it's automatically filtered out. But if like large particle like the cigarette smoke, the cilia can't help it. So that automatically lead to the health problem. So like bronchitis. We will see afterward what is bronchitis and how it occurs. So cell in your trachea and bronchial tube make a mucus that keep air passage moist and help keep things like dust, bacteria, viruses and allergens causing things out of your lung. So you all know about the defense mechanism of our body. Like we have a certain type of the immune system in our body which help to fight the disease. So like hair in your body or your immune system which automatically keeps the thing like dust, bacteria, viruses outside our body. But the large particle which can't be trapped in our immune system or which can't be trapped in your hair of large particle, so then it causes some cause of the disease. So here is the main, you have to understand that what is the respiratory volume and the capacity. So these are the normal things. So tidal volume is normal breath, moves about 500 ml of the air with each breath. And vital capacity is maximum quantity of air in one breath, usually 4,500 to 5,500 ml. Whenever we taste some tidal volume or vital capacity, for example, in asthmatic patient, we check what is the vital capacity of the patient, what is the tidal volume of the patient. So these are the normal values. So if we see the decrease in vital capacity or increase in vital capacity, it helps in differentiating the diagnosis. Dead space value, air that remain in conducting zone and never reach the alveoli about 150 ml. Total lung capacity, maximum amount of the lung can hold usually 4,650 to 6,400 ml. So what are the different type of the respiratory disease? We are going to learn forward that respiratory diseases are asthma, bronchitis, COPD, pneumonia, tuberculosis, lung cancer, cystic fibrosis, pleural effusion, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, sarcoidosis. So these are the common respiratory diseases which we all have to know and which we are going to learn afterward. Am I able to understand? सबको समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We move forward. So these are the mainly common clinical presentation respiratory disease. So generally in all respiratory disease you will see in some or some not, but maximum respiratory disease condition we see the dyspnea and breathlessness, cough, hemoptysis and the chest pain. But why dyspnea occur? Why cough occur? Why hemoptysis occur? Why chest pain occur? So generally, breathlessness or dyspnea occur in cardiac causes also and even respiratory causes also. So it occurs because there is dyspnea means difficulty in breathing, and it occurs when there is imbalance between the perceived need to the breathe and the perceived ability to breathe. Like if CO2 is high and the O2 is decreased, so there is cause the dyspnea and breathlessness. In cardiac cause, the dyspnea and breathlessness occur. There are the other causes. Okay. So, cough and nasal discharges occur because there is mucus secretions are normally removed by the ciliary breathing. जो हम लोगों ने पहले देखा, hair and ciliary, which prevent the infection. But if they are not able to prevent that infection, then this is inferred by increased secretion. Cough is become the important mean of the secretion removal. Even the cough or the coryza, it occurs because of that. So hemoptysis occur because of the inflammation of the tracheobronchial mucus or the mucosal erosion. Whereas the chronic inflammation occur because of the arterial hypertrophy. Even hemoptysis in cardiac causes occur because of the arterial hypertrophy. And the chest pain occur because of the infection or inflammation of the muscle and the tendon. So generally the respiratory infection are the two, the upper respiratory tract infection and the lower respiratory tract infection. And generally organism which capable of infecting the respiratory structure include the bacteria, virus and the fungi. Generally the virus are the majority which causes the upper respiratory tract infection. Depending on the organism and the extent of the infection, the symptoms can range from mild to severe and even the life-threatening. So factors that might weaken the respiratory defense barrier, which earlier I said कि if the infection are in the tiny amount like dust or any particle that automatically filtered into the system. But if not, so like cigarette smoking or the air pollution, repeatedly air pollution or the presence of respiratory pathogen such as cold or the influenza virus, which causes weaken the respiratory defense barrier. And cigarette smoking can paralyze the cilia lining of the cell that respiratory passage and impair the removal of the secretion particle and the microorganism. So generally when we have to diagnose the respiratory system disease, any respiratory disease, so how we go? So we generally go to the blood test or routine radiography, CT, MRI, PETS or collecting of the sputum, bronchoscopy or chest X-ray. So generally blood test when we do, so we will get to increase the WBC or the ESR will increase. In CT, if there is any lesion, we can see in the CT, and even on the X-rays we can see the chest X-ray कि कहाँ lesion है, क्या exactly क्या diagnosis the patients are. So these are the helpful diagnostic procedure in respiratory diseases. So this is the normal we are going to see कि हर एक disease condition में क्या क्या दिख सकता है. So हर एक disease condition में we have to understand the why this is the infection, how this occurs, so pathophysiology, then the symptoms, then the clinical presentation and then the diagnostic procedure. किसी को difficulty है यहाँ तक?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. I hope you all able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So today we are going to see about the upper respiratory tract infection. Okay. So upper respiratory tract infection may include the sinuses, nasal passage, pharynx, larynx, which serve as a gateway to the trachea, bronchi, pulmonary alveolar spaces. So upper respiratory tract infection leads to a rhinitis, pharyngitis, sinusitis, epiglottis, laryngitis, tracheitis. These are the main manifestation of the upper respiratory tract infection. So upper respiratory tract infection represent the most common acute illness, जो भी हम लोगों को common cold होता है या फिर जो हम लोग viral infection बोलते हैं, so that term into the upper respiratory tract infection, which is mild and self-limiting catarrhal syndrome. Catarrhal syndrome means excessive secretion of the thick phlegm or the mucus of nasopharynx to life-threatening illness such as epiglottis. Epiglottis is the infection of the epiglottis which swells and causes the obstruction of the upper airway. So these are the severe condition epiglottis, because when there is swell and obstruction occur, there is no exchange of O2 and the CO2. So the person has difficulty in breathing and it may turn into the life-threatening for the person. So these are the common diseases. You can go through it. So there is pharyngitis, common cold. Common cold occur because of the rhinovirus, coronavirus, adenovirus, myxovirus, ecovirus. So dental caries, it occur because of the mutants, thrush, trench throat, stomatitis, pharyngitis, otis media, sinusitis, epiglottis. Epiglottis occur because of the influenza, whooping cough, bronchitis, and bronchiolitis. Shall I move forward? So we are going to see about the common upper respiratory tract infection. So first the rhinitis. Rhinitis is the inflammation of the nasal mucosa. Rhinosinusitis and sinusitis, inflammation of the nares and paranasal sinuses, include the frontal, ethmoidal, maxillar, and the staphoid. So these are the frontal, these are the ethmoidal, these are the maxillary. Okay, and the splenoid. So sinusitis is common in person with a viral upper respiratory tract infection. Transient change in the paranasal sinuses are noted on the CT scan. Is more than 80 patients. So in CT scan we can easily understand the sinusitis or the rhinosinusitis. But with only sign and symptoms we are able to diagnose the patient with the sinusitis, because there are the pain in the ethmoidal or pain in the maxillary, pain in the frontal sinuses with a common cold, coryza. So we are able to understand the patient is suffering from the sinusitis. So it occurs because of the bacteria. Rhinosinusitis is a complication, is only approximately 2% of the patient with a viral upper respiratory tract infection. Okay. Next is the nasopharyngitis. Nasopharyngitis we also called as the common cold. It is the inflammation of the nares, pharynx, hypopharynx, vulva, or the tonsils. So common cold it occurs because of the inflammation of the nares also, pharynx also, hypopharynx also, vulva also, and the tonsils also. So common cold varies by the age. Rates are higher in the children younger than 5 years. Children have about 3 to 8 viral respiratory illness per year, and adolescent and adult have approximately 2 to 4 cold a year, and people above 60 years have fewer than 1 cold per year. So why it is more seen in the children or in the old age people? Because of the immune system. So immune system is already less in children also and even old age people also. So we see more the common cold cases of the nasopharyngeal cases are more seen in the children and the old age people. So pharyngitis. So pharyngitis is the inflammation of the pharynx, hypopharynx, vulva, tonsils. So acute pharyngitis, the incidence of viral and bacterial pharyngitis peak in the children age of 4 to 7 years. It mainly caused because of the group A streptococcal bacteria. Epiglottis, which also called as the supraglottitis, is the inflammation of the superior portion of the larynx and the supraglottic area. So epiglottis occur at a rate of 6 to 14 cases per 1 lakh children according to estimate from other countries. So this condition is typically occur in the children aged 2 to 7 years and has a peak incidence in those age of the 3 years. So generally these are the cases are seen in mainly the 2 to 7 year of the ages. Laryngitis is the inflammation of the larynx, where we see the hoarseness of the throat or the sore throat. Laryngotracheitis is the inflammation of the larynx, trachea and the subglottic area. So it affects mainly to the children also and affect in the adult age also, but commonly we see in the children because same reason, because of the immune system. So the immune system of the children are very low. Because of that, these all the upper respiratory tract infections seen in the children. Tracheitis is the inflammation of the trachea and the supraglottic area. So why the infection of the upper respiratory tract infection? So generally the pathophysiology, there is direct invasion of the mucosal lining of the upper airways. Please remember, जो हम लोगों ने normally pathophysiology पढ़ी है. So it direct invades the mucosal lining of the upper airway. So upper airway means nose, throat, any, or how it spread from person to person. So patient with a bacterial infection may present in the similar fashion or they may present with the superinfection to the viral of the upper respiratory tract infection. So how it inoculates means how it spread. So how it spread by the bacteria or virus, particles and secretion are transferred by touching or hand explosion to the pathogen to the nose or the mouth or by direct inhalating the respiratory droplet from an infected person who is coughing and sneezing. So right now coronavirus is also going on. So coronavirus is also the upper respiratory tract infection. So how it spread? It spread by touching, hand exposing or any air droplet. So it directly infects the person. So after infection, like after inoculation, virus and bacteria enter the cellular barrier. So as I earlier said, our body has some defense mechanism. So it includes the physical, mechanical and humoral, which also called as the cellular immune system. So there are immunity system in our body which defends our system to get infected by all these viruses. So hair lining the nose filter and trap the pathogen. So as say here in our nose there are the ciliary lining, cilia, which filter and trap some pathogens. But if that pathogen is not trapped, so mucus coat much of the upper respiratory tract, trapping the potential infection. If the hair lining of the nose are unable to trap the infection, they resulting into the posterior nose of the pharynx, which cause the large particles present on the back of the throat. So ciliary fail lower in the respiratory tract trap and transport the pathogen up to the pharynx, where they are swallowed into the stomach. So if in the nose they are not able to trap the particle, they able to trap in the throat. If not, then the backside of the pharynx, and then it trap and transport the pathogen to the pharynx, and then they are swallowed into the stomach. So upper respiratory tract infection, if they are not controlled by any of our system or not with any of the medicines, they directly transfer it to the lower respiratory tract infection. So adenoid and tonsils contain the immune cell that respond to the pathogen. So humoral immunity and cellular immunity act as reduce the infection through the entire respiratory tract, and residents and recruit the macrophages, monocytes, neutrophil and eosinophil coordinate to engulf and destroy the infection. So whatever the infection are coming into your body, so they try to engulf by the macrophages, monocyte and the neutrophils. A host of the inflammatory cytokines mediate the immune response to 10 minutes are remaining. The host of the inflammatory cytokines mediate the immune response to invade the pathogens. So patients with less humoral and the phagocytic immune function are at the increased risk of contracting a upper respiratory tract infection, and they are at an increased risk for a severe or prolonged course of the diseases. So hair lining the nose filter and traps. So patient with a less humoral or phagocytic immune system, where patients have a less immune system, so they are mainly more as a risk factor towards infection. And those who have a good immune system, like those who have a good humoral of the cellular immune system, they have the less infection chances. Any difficulty till now? Hello?
No,
Any-
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
ओके सेशन को सिर्फ 8 मिनट बाकी है. अगर ये सेशन खत्म मतलब बंद हो गया तो अगेन क्लिक ऑन द सेम लिंक एंड फिर ज्वाइन करना. ओके
Okay, ma'am.
So the symptoms. So mainly, what symptoms we have seen? So why symptoms are seen? Because there is an inflammatory response of the immune system to invading the pathogen from the toxin produced by the pathogen. So there is edema, that's swelling inside the nasal cavity. Secretions, there may be the nasal secretion or the throat secretion. Fever, headache, facial tenderness, or the redness of the throat, which is also called as the soreness of the throat. So risk factor. So it may be the genetic, that you may heard that asthma is travel from hereditary from one person from family only. So there may be the genetic, that contact, that infected contact like handshake, close contact, or the close contact with the small children or the adult with a group setting. Travel, when we travel, the incidence of contracting the upper respiratory tract is increased because of exposure to the large number of the individual in close setting. Smoking, and as I said earlier, immunocompromised. So immunocompromised, which they affect the cellular or the humoral immunity. In cases of the HIV or splenectomy, or even when person on the corticosteroid, which decreases the immune system. So immunocompromised person have a more risk towards a respiratory tract infection. In the diagnostic test, there are blood tests, sputum tests, X-ray, CT scan, nasal and the throat swab. So blood test, we can see the eosinophil has decreased, WBC has decreased, ESR decreased. Sputum test, we have seen the infection. X-ray, if there are any upper respiratory, lower respiratory tract infection, we can see on the chest. CT scan and the nasal and the throat swab. So treatment, generally pharmacological treatment, there are the steroid or the antibiotic they are given, or antiretroviral they are given, or NSAIDs they are given. But in a homeopathic treatment, there are many remedies like bryonia, causticum, pulsatilla, antiphthal, arsenic, albumin. With even non-pharmacological treatment, we told patient to gargle it, to take a warm bath, or वाफ लीजिए वगैरह ऐसा हम लोग बोलते हैं because it automatically reduces the infection. In homeopathic treatment, I'm going to just emphasize on the bryonia and the antiphthal. So bryonia basically indicate when the cough is dry and very painful, the person feels worse from any movement or may even need to hold his and her side and press against the chest to keep it still. The cough can make the stomach hurt and digestion may be upset. A very dry mouth is common and the person may be thirsty. A person who wants to be left alone when ill and not talk or disturb is likely to need the bryonia. Whereas antiphthal is indicate the person has a feeling of wet mucus in the chest and breathing makes a bubbly and rattling sound. There is hoarseness of the sound. The cough takes an effort and is often not quite strong or enough to break the mucus up, although burping and spitting may be of help. The person may feel drowsy or dizzy and feel better than lying on the right of the sitting side. For upper respiratory tract infection for the homeopathic therapy, you have to be prepared with bryonia, causticum, pulsatilla, antiphthal, and the arsenic. There are other remedies also you will want to see in the other respiratory tract infection. So till now, any questions? Hello? किसी को कुछ questions है?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Either you all able to understand or किसी को कुछ समझा नहीं है, कुछ question नहीं है तो सबको समझ में आया है?
मैम ये पीपी
या
मैम ये पीपीटी आप ग्रुप पे सेंड कर देना ना.
Yes, yes, definitely. I will share with you all. And next session हम लोग मंडे को फिर से लेने वाले हैं. So उस सेशन में हम लोग अस्थमा पढ़ेंगे. प्लीज अस्थमा के बारे में एटलीस्ट थोड़ा पढ़ के आना एंड थेराप्स पढ़ के आना, सो दैट हम लोग एटलीस्ट एक दूसरे से शेयर कर पाएंगे, कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाएंगे. ओके
मैम.
ओके मैम.
ओके, थैंक यू ऑल.
थैंक यू मैम.
थैंक यू मैम.
बाय.
बाय.